And it's Mufc Realist TV. I'm Mick, your host. And boy, what a week of football we had, and what a week of football we are going to have. But listen, guys, we have something big to talk about today. This is the agenda for today. To be honest, there's a fair bit to be covered, and let's just bear with us because I have a very special guest in the house, waiting in the green room, to be honest. But the big takeaway point is, of course, what you've all been waiting for, is the takeover, sold in 60 days. What does that mean? I'm going to introduce you to my beautiful guests and panel. I'm going to add them one by one. I'm going to add on Mr. Anil to the stream. How you doing, Anil, from
All
Talksport?
good. Thank you very much for having me on. Appreciate it as always, and I'm really excited to talk Man United.
Yeah. Talk to you later in a bit. I have also Kojo from... There you go, Kojo. There you are. Yes, sir. From three in the midfield.
Yes, three in midfield. Thank you for having me as well. And always have to talk about Man United and what's going on with the club. Exciting times, but I'm in good form, so let's get into it.
Let's get into the game. But of course, I have my scintillating Phil Standish. Standish, how you doing,
good evening,
sir?
everybody. You all right? Rowing to go. Looking forward to this show. Looking forward to discussing the weekend and the week ahead. So let's get on with the show.
So let's get on with the show. The show must go on. Are you ready? But before we continue, please take a breath, take a moment. There's a bell button below. There's a lot of things that you can press. I know I forget about it, but if you have time, please press the like and subscribe button. But are you ready to get into the game? Let's do this. Let's get into the game. Oh, sorry, I'm playing air guitar. Guys, welcome to the show. So pleasure to have you. Of course, Kojo, I had you in my stream before, but I never had the pleasure to have the beautiful, mouth talking guy on Talk Sports. I hear you delivering some really factual punches. Anil, how are you doing, sir? Welcome to the stream.
Yeah, brilliant. Can I just say, by the way, that opening credit sequence was absolutely amazing. I mean, as you maybe already be able to tell, it's I do a bit of the old editing and podcasting myself, but that was a great intro and a great start to the show, certainly. But like I said, at the start, a great pleasure to join you, brilliant gentlemen, to talk about the club. And as one of you alluded to earlier, it's I don't think we could probably pick a better time, but certainly over the last few years, to have a discussion about Man United. A big week on and off the pitch for Manchester United. So yeah, let's get cracking.
Credit when credit's due. Like, it's actually yours truly that made that intro. So yeah,
you've got to take the credit when you need it, right?
I do all the mad things. Like, I do all the graphics, I do all the emotion design and everything. So it's like I was the one-man band. So yeah, it's the crazy world of Mick in my mind, like Marcus Rashford. Anyway, pleasure. Like, I'm gonna do the round table. Like, I'm gonna start with Kojo. How do we feel after yesterday, this scrappy Sunday? Leeds. Talk to me, Kojo.
Yeah, I'm satisfied. I mean, we drew the game at home, which was a bit frustrating. We started off very, very slow in that game. So the one thing we need to do, of course, was firstly not concede within the first minute, and also calm things down. Leeds, for them, when they play Man United, it's like they're all saying it's a cup final for them. Beating Man United is everything to them, and they've been away from the Premier League for so many years. They've just come back for the last 2 seasons, and for them, no matter what happens in the season, if they can get one over Man United, it means a lot to Leeds fans. So getting that draw at Old Trafford for them was great, because I think they had a lot of confidence coming to the game at Ellen Road. The good thing for us was we were a lot more composed in the start. I know they create a lot of trouble for us. They got quick players like Nonto, Somerville. Bamford is a bit of a tricky player every now and then. And they obviously now they've got 2 Americans that play together for the club and also country in McKennie and Adams. So they've got a bit of cohesion going on there. They were a bit excited. But I think once we got the goal, I think it just settled our nerves. You can see that we started playing the ball a bit better. So yeah, no, I'm satisfied. I don't want to talk too much. I want everyone to have their say on their but overall, just very happy that we got the 3 points.
100%, Kojo, 100%. You know, I've been texting you. I was so nervous, like I was almost going to the mental hospital, right? Seriously. Phil Standish, good morning, good afternoon, or actually it's afternoon for you, sir.
Good
Phil,
evening, yeah.
talk to me.
It's 6:30.
Listen, guys, you know, Mark Goldbridge has, you know, the United stand, but I'm so proud that I had my vice captain, the real United Standish. Phil Standish.
We're working on a trademark. So obviously we've got different parts of this show. The next part of it being the takeover, which I know a lot of people have joined the show specifically to find out about. Mick's going to take us through a little bit of a talking through some different points on this on the takeover. Yep. We've called it sold in 60 days. So yeah, let's hand over to you for a minute, Mick.
So basically, you know, guys, I've been doing this Glazer art reports ever since the summer, right? So I've been following every timeline, tweets, everything, and just, you know, applying logic and reasoning. Of course, like, you know, I've been living in the Middle Eastern region for 10 years. So, you know, have a very good connections, what's going on. But I just wanted to sort of dive into how it all started and where we are today. And this is going to just take a small little bit of a time, not much. Hopefully we will cover this within 10 to 15 minutes, but I want interactions. I want your thoughts and opinions, your feelings. At the end of the day, what matters is that, you know, we have the right owners with the right intent, and that this is what we're going to come down to. So, okay, let's start this presentation. And, you know, I always look with logic and reasoning. For people that knows me and been following me, I always apply logic and reasoning with realistic opinions, right? So, you know, where did it all start? You know, okay, of course, we all know that the Glazers run out of options as they mismanage the club finances from the ground from 17 years, right? This is quite serious. Look, they piled up a debt for about over 500 millions, right? The commercial sponsorship since Woodward left has kind of dropped. We kind of saw that, you know, with the team viewer also pulling out. There's a lot of things I don't want to go in. We all know it. But what I'm always saying is that you can sweep things under the carpet, but the shit always comes out, like the dirt's always come out. So, you know, they used bank credits for everything, taking out dividends as well. So eventually that dirt comes out on the carpet, meaning that the bubble burst. So that leads that, you know, they had now other options. They were like the back was against the wall. We saw that financial reporting. So that's why Glazers came out to say, hey, we are looking for option A, partial sale of minority investors, and also later on full sale, because they've been speaking to a lot of partial investments. And I'm going to run a small clip from the GLAZER report. It's about 1.5 minutes, just to back time and just give you that feeling where we are today. All right. So I'm just going to show you that.
But in order to understand why we haven't won a Premier League trophy for 9 years and been horribly wrong, we need to go back in time to understand the power, the greed of the Glazers.
I don't believe that they are.
You won't have that.
Oh, fuck that shit.
That we've blown through an enormous amount of money. For this summer, the money that the manager and the director of football wants is there, right? For the future, for investing in a new stadium and that sort of stuff, to do a latest and greatest £250 million training ground. Okay, we've got to do something. We've got to get investors in. And again, you know, I need that to do what I want for the club. Right? I've got to have more cash than we have now, because a new stadium, no stadium and no club in the world has the money to do a new stadium without getting it from someone.
In my humble opinion, Richard Donner is the new CEO. He clearly states the money was there for the transfer window to rebuild the stadium and Carrington. He needs investments because the Glazers is not going to do it. Now, for fact, this was the time where Glazers was starting to either look to sell the club or look for investors to buy into 20 to 30% of the shares. Why? Now, the why for me is always the interesting part.
Mr. Glazer, why is now the right time to sell Manchester United?
Hi, well, as we announced yesterday, the board went through a process and it's decided it's going to look at different strategic alternatives, and that's what we're doing. So,
United fans say that you should have sold the club years ago.
Well, once again, we've gone through a process. We're going to look at all different strategic alternatives, and we'll see where that leads us. So I appreciate you talking to me tonight, and I'm going to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving.
I don't believe that they are.
You won't have that.
Fuck that shit.
So, guys, there you have it, a little bit of a snippet. So it leads us where we are today. So you guys, it's an educational purpose, so you will understand, right? Now you understand that the sales process was kind of split it in two, right? It was kind of started off in summer, but it was announced public by the Glazers just before, Thanksgiving in November, right? We all know the Glazers were looking for investors, not for the purpose of clearing the debt, but actually buying out the siblings so they can continue milk more money out. So they were seeking investments from Apollo Group, who said no to $1 billion. And thank God for that, by the way. So they have no other options. But, in the interim, we've been seeing the Glazers running around in Qatar because they really don't want to sell the club. They've been looking to buy minority investors, so that's why they've been, spotted in Qatar, promoting this thing. But in the interim, also the Rainy Group has been working on the full sale with others, potential buyers. We'll get into that as well. If we look at the overall evaluation, how that is working, we know that Glazers have about 163. There's about 163 million total shares on the New York Stock Exchange, where the Glazers own about 98%, which is about 113 million shares. In today's market, the share prices are worth about $23.5 per share, which gives you a total evaluation of about 2.6 billion, right? Adding on that, how you do the evaluation, this is what Rainy Group does, right? So they look at the overall share price, that is what they owe, but they also look at the overall operational costs, in terms of the TV deals, the shirt sales, and the overall player evaluation of the squad. And therefore they come up with a figure that they want about 6 billion. So that is the asking price, right? It's similar when you're selling your house, as you are a seller, you hire a broker to say, look, this is what I want, get me the highest bidder. And this is what Rainy Group is doing, right? Together with the Latham and Watkins, who acts as the legal representatives for Manchester United PLC, and also the Rothschilds, right? Rothschilds is actually the advisory for the shareholders and the board, right? So these three together needs to work in correlation, but the one that is driving the sales process is actually the Rainy Group. Now, the Rainy Group, as we all know, are the ones that were involved with the sales of Chelsea. In this instance, Chelsea was a public listed because government was actually selling because of the sanctions of Roman Abramovich. He needed to sell the club, right? So in this instance, this is not a public sale, guys. So that means that it's a very, very secret. It's closed. That means that you sign something called an NDA, non-disclosure agreement, right? This is secretive. So that means that nobody sees the bids. Nobody knows the bids. Not even the journalist knows. It's not getting leaked. The Rainy Group runs a very tight ship, right? So, but it's said to believe that, they want to sort of complete this in 3 months, same as Chelsea, meaning they set a deadline for the last bid to come in on the 17th of February. That doesn't mean that there has been parallel bids like coming in December or November or January. You know what I mean? It doesn't make any sense. It's not linear at all, right? It's just to set a deadline. Where is the last bid to come in, right? I hope that makes sense. In terms of the overall bidding process, I covered that in the Glazers Out video. You can always go back to that video. It's been chopped and changed. But there's 4 stages when you do when Rainy Group is looking at. This is the preparation it's the preparation phase. There's the buyer approach, marketing phase, and the corporate and audit negotiations, and contract and conclusion. Now you might ask, Mick, where are we now? We're actually at stage 4, which is contract and conclusion, foregone. So what does that mean? I'm going to go in layman's term one by one. When Rainy Group took on the assignment, it was pretty much to say to the Glazers, what is that you want? We will do the evaluation of the club. We will prepare the tender documents, the NDA documents. We will formalize the sales strategy, and we will go to the market to find you the best bidder, right? The best buyer. That leads to the sales process number 2, which is the approach of the buyers, right? In terms of doing the marketing. That's what you see in the Glazers been out there in Qatar together with Rainy Group to attract potential bidders and buyers. Because at the end of the day, it all comes down to money, right? Who will be the biggest bidder, right? If they know that Dubai, for instance, put in a bid for X amount of money, the job is to sort of up that bid, right? Are you with me on that point? Oh, sorry. Absolutely. Where are we? I just double clicked on something. Where are we?
That's okay. That's what we're up to. Yeah.
Yeah. So, in a way, so it's all for the Rainy Group to look for the potential buyers, and the important bit here is what highlighted in yellow. You have to sign an NDA to receive the tender documents, right? To receive anything at all. And when you sign that NDA, that means you cannot talk to anyone, right? It is what it is, yeah. You come down to the phase 3, which is the corporate audit and negotiations. This is a very crucial part, right? This is where like Rainy Group, Rothschilds, and the legal Latham and Watkins get involved, right? It's all about the due diligence phase. It is when you sign the NDA, you get the access, what you see in the data room, what people are saying about United's finances. You get the, the tender document, request for proposal document, what states and everything. But as a bidder, you always have to provide, your board of directors, everyone that's going to be involved. You got to declare your finances, where the money is coming from, your shadow directors, the board of directors. There's got to be 100% transparency, right? So that means that, the Rainy Group and Latham and Rothschilds, they act as a sort of legal bridge between the Manchester United, the bidders, and also the FA, the UEFA, the government, that everything has been met and compliant. I hope this makes sense as well. I'm trying to plow through. I'm not so good at PowerPoint presentations in a way. But we are right now in a very exciting process, which is stage number 4. This is what everyone is talking about in the media right now. This is the bidding process, what we say. The bidding process is already taking place. It could have been done since December, but we have set a deadline this Friday, 17th. But this means that, all the bidders have no visibilities and no knowledge who has been bid, how much. It is simple like that. It's like, if you bid for a house, the broker will not tell you that, hey, the neighbor next door bid 7 million. Like, would you bid more? Like, it doesn't tell you who it is. But it is what it is. And after they submitted all this, everything will come up to the table. Everything will be turned. The due diligence has been done. There will be a bidding process. There will be a letter of intent if you've been awarded. There will be a company purchase agreement. But everything has to be approved according to FA rule, Prem, the UEFA, and everything else. Like, it's got to be legit. No sports washing whatsoever, right? So this is where we are at the moment, gents. And there's been a lot of rumors and speculation, and I just want to kill it to say, like, media outlets, accounts, unless you have the direct line to the Rainy Group or speaking to United, you wouldn't know. Everything is speculations, right? This is what I want to say. Like, so keep your powder dry. You will know after the 17th. So bidders as we are today is rumored, right? This is what we've seen so far. 5 bidders, right? So far. We're talking about Sir Jim Ratcliffe. He was early linked ever since Chelsea, right? He came in late for Chelsea. He had that interview with I think it was Bloomberg or something, finance. He said, like, the biggest correlation in money sports is money, and United is not for sale, but if it's for sale, I will buy it, right? But he's apparently gone up, first one in public to say that I bid for United. But the bid that's kind of rumored to come out is about 3.5 billion pounds, right? We know that's not enough. We know that the Glazers wants 6 billion pounds, right? If it's a PR stunt, how will we manage this? Anyway, then it's Dubai. Me worked in Dubai for 10 years. I have a lot of connections. I was getting some whispers that they had put in a bid, that the bid was 7 billion pounds. It's yet to believe. I say I don't believe it until it's like a transfer until somebody sign and hold up the shirt. So for me, it's all rumors or speculations. I don't want to speculate. I don't want to know until it's been presented. Then we have the Kingdom of Saudi, of course. We know that Saudi owns, Newcastle. So this been proposed that it's been Kingdom Holding Group. Kingdom Holding Group is like, a real estate construction company. They'll hold a lot of, hotels around the world. So they're worth about 46 billion. And then is Harrison Blitzer that was involved in the Chelsea bid takeover. But they are only looking for a minority stake because they are the stakeholders of Crystal Palace. But if you know Harrison Blitzer, they own minority stakes all around hockey, football, all over the shop, right? But the net worth is about 3 billion. So they're only looking for minority stake. And the latest one, It is the link with Qatar, the QSI or QIA, and this is the Sheikh or the Emir El Thani. They're worth about 450 million, and it's rumors to be said they're going to submit a bid about $6 billion. So QSI, QIA is Qatar Sports Investment Sports Investment Authorities. Now the question is, guys, out of all this five that's been proposed, who do you think has the most legs? I want to ask your panel. I want to ask the audience as well to come in with your comments.
Yeah, certainly. I'll take the reins initially. For me, anyway. Obviously, like you've alluded to throughout the presentation, a lot of information we've got to take with a pinch of salt, because as you said, it's a very private deal, and it's one of a huge magnitude. It's the biggest club in the world, arguably, and it's going to certainly turn heads no matter who it is. But for me, anyway, the things that I have heard, the Qataris, for me, it just sounds like a good fit. The things that I have heard is over the last couple of weeks is that the Qataris see Manchester United as the crown jewel of football. They're determined to get Manchester United back to where they belong, which is at the top of the pyramid in football. And they are very serious, from what I've been told, of making Manchester United a force again. And it's not just about on the pitch in terms of investing in the players and the squad and also the manager, which I'll get onto very shortly. It's also the surrounding areas at Old Trafford. It's also the training facilities. It's also refurbishing the stadium that we currently have, and I'm very sure that all of you know that it's not exactly in the best condition at Old Trafford or for the training facilities. It's quite annoying, but if we do a comparison to Manchester City, if you go around the Etihad Stadium, it's not just the stadium that they've built there. It's the surrounding areas. They've got shops there. They've even got an academy pitch. They've got absolutely everything there, and it's not only that as well. It's the fan experience there. If you go there on a match day, the type of stuff they put on for fans, they've got concerts, they've got like sort of mini pitches for kids to play on. There's all sorts of things that are going on, and that's all ultimately what the Qataris want to bring to Manchester United. And very finally, to round up, obviously, what I personally think, the biggest thing of all of this is the Qataris have emphasised that they don't have any intention of changing the manager at Manchester United, similarly to what happened at Chelsea with Todd Bowley and Tuchel. He came in, they really didn't get on, and we all know what happened. There's a new man in charge. And I think for Manchester United fans, of course, the debt, we need to clear it. Of course, we want investment in the facilities, in the stadium, as well as the squad. But I think right now that the most important thing for Manchester United fans is that we keep Erik ten Hag. We all know how brilliant of a coach this guy is. But as new owners come in, Tuchel won the Champions League for Chelsea, but he just did not get on with the new ownership, and there's only going to be one winner in them circumstances. So I think that's, for me, the most telling bit of all. They have no intention of even questioning Ten Hag. The only types of conversations they want with Ten Hag is to see what he wants in the summer in terms of reinforcements for the Manchester United squad. So as I said from the start, the Qataris, for me, the standout, and on the other end, I'd put Sir Jim Ratcliffe at the bottom of that list. But I'll let everyone else take.
Yeah, we'll get into that. We will dive into it. Kojo, what's your reflection?
Sorry, excuse me. I need United to have owners that have a game plan from the beginning. You're talking about obviously coming and fixing the infrastructure of the club. Because we've had former players, coaches, everything come and say we're very behind. And if we're being very honest, I think we're lucky that United have somehow still managed to finish second a couple of times, Champions League a couple of times, considering how much further behind in terms of just doing things around the club that we are. Even Tottenham as an example. Obviously, Tottenham do Tottenham things on the pitch, but if you're talking about building a new stadium, talking about the quality of the training grounds, talking about building a community, they're building houses for fans around the stadium. It's what you need to make United fans feel like it's their club again. And I feel like a lot of United fans, there's been a bit of a disconnect in the last couple of years. So 100%. if it is the Qataris, I'm not mad at it. There's always this discussion about sports washing and what is the actual project. If you have owners that want to improve Man United on all levels, that makes Manchester United better. And the truth is, knowing how much money is in the Premier League, let alone having owners with a lot more money on top of it, it puts United in a very powerful position, because Man United were very much self-sustainable for the Glazers anyway. So if you get United to a situation where you're gone.
Yeah, but the same thing applies if it's Dubai ICD as well, because they have the same intent, like, because Qatari and Dubai, the Middle Eastern, they don't want to use these as to milk out the money, right? They want to use these to promote the countries for tourism and stuff like that. So for them to own a football club, like, it's huge, like, especially a crown jewel like Manchester United, the crown jewel of so they don't look at return on investment. So whoever gets appointed, like if it's a Qatari or if it's Dubai, they're just gonna do the best in class. That's what they do. You saw what they did with Manchester City, without this discussion of this financial fair play stuff. But you saw what they can do with the infrastructure and building things around and appointing the best in class. Phil, do you want to have a say about it, or should I dive into the next slide?
Yeah, just very quickly, because I'm very aware that we are running out of time. We've not even moved on to Thursday yet. We've only got like 15 minutes left. But yeah, so Jim Ratcliffe, I think for me, I think I've said this from the beginning. He seems to be all mouth. He's like, he is a fan of United. He has. I mean, just looking at those figures there, he hasn't got the money that compared to the others. There's all these rumours coming out about him taking another loan out to be able to buy United. Absolutely red flag, as you said. As it says there, we do not want that at all. We want to just know whoever comes in can afford to buy us, can afford to do all the work that needs to be done. It needs to be done. And then we can start to look at all the investments that Anil and Kojo referred to about in the community and making things great and stuff. I mean, City put things on for the fans because they've got no fans, so they have to find some way to get them in, don't they? But United, joking aside, we've got to be able to invest in a way that there's so much to be done from the off. When the owners come in, I'll just pose one quick question before we move on to anybody. What do you think is the best thing that the new owners could be doing? Because when they come in, everyone's just going to be going, right, okay, what are you going to do? They're going to wait for that moment. What's that first thing that they're going to do? Is it going to be that they've got to invest in the club? They want to see that the new signs going up, the painting being done, the new seats being put in. Is it going to be a marquee signing like Real Madrid would do? Or we've got new people involved. We've got to get to a marquee signing. Look at us, we're throwing the money around, sort of thing. What's your thoughts? What's your thoughts on that, gents? What do you think is the main thing that they need to do?
But my red flag for me is obviously, like, a clear and obviously, he's not rich enough to go into. I mean, he can be a responsible owner, but when you go for bankrolling, getting support from Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan, which is his bank, obviously he's going to take on the loan on INEOS, but eventually that money needs to come back to INEOS. You know what I mean? So we don't want that as fans. Like, we are sick and tired of debt. So we want somebody just to clear the debt. Don't take money out of the club, at least for the next 10 years. Just invest, right, in the infrastructure and invest in everything. And that leads me also to the next thing, right, with the Saudis, with the Qataris, like what we talked about, because it is also a question about, can you own two clubs in Europe and compete in the same? Now, we know that Qatari, or Qatari investment authorities, they own PSG, right? It breaches the UEFA regulations, and especially when you come down to the, if you go back to the process, with the due diligence, it's got to be scrutinized by FA, Prem. They're going to do the due diligence, but they always weigh us around it. They're going to say, well, PSI is going to own it, or we're going to formalize another entity. But rest assured that Emir has his fingers in the pie in every of those entities, so he cannot be. And that goes down to, they have to sort of also disclose all the shadow directors, all the directors that's going to be involved in this organization and consortium, and he cannot be involved. Now Tahani is involved in everything, and there's obviously no evidence of sports washing, right? But I jokes aside, but I said, if Qatari could bought themselves a World Cup, I'm sure they can find a way to get United. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, guys, it comes down to the last slide. Does it really matter, right? This is my conclusion. As long as they adhere a commitment, a manifesto, right? This is something that you all touched about. Like, number one, of course, we need to clear the debt. Number two is have a clear sporting vision, a project, like, to compete, to be the best, bring Manchester United the way it used to be, back on the top, right? GLAZER didn't do that. All they care about taking the money. They didn't treat us as a sporting entity, right? Even if you looked at the description, they didn't even say it was a sporting club. It was a company, right? That needs to a number two. Whoever comes in, appoint the best in class, meaning all the staff, all the players. That means that anything above Erik ten Hag, just get rid of all this John Murtaughs and all the old deadwood that was under Woodward, and just appoint the best in class football operation people. Like, have a commercial department that does the commercial. Maybe have, like City, have a chairman on top of the CEO, to oversee the things, but invest in the infrastructure, because we all know that Carrington needs it. Old Trafford is bleeding. And if they do so, by the way, this does not affect the FFP. And why is it so? Because FFP only look at the funds that you spend within your operational means, what you gain from the sales of tickets, the TV deals and stuff like that, and that only focus on the transfer windows, right? Now, FFP does not cover the infrastructure, the sporting development of youth, the academy and stuff like that. So, but number five, the five last things that I think all United fans is watching the stream can agree on: clear communication, transparency within the fan base. Because Glazer didn't do that. We kept second guessing everything. We didn't have anything from the club, right? And this is, according to my opinion, created this toxic environment that we're seeing on socials and the fan base, and created this great divide, right? Because we were second guessing. Now I see that we are more united with Erik ten Hag as a manager, because we are believing we're going places, and there's a general belief that we are getting sold, right? And the last point of what I said: don't take anything out of the club for the next 10 years. Just invest, pump in the money, but don't take anything out, right? Because we are a big enough club to run on the money that we make, but don't take that money away. Guys, it's been a pleasure to do this. This is very emotional for me. I've been keeping my powder dry. But at the end of the day, guys, people around the world, it ain't matter, because there will never be a GLAZERS 2.0 due to the FFP rules has changed, due to the regulations has changed, how you can acquire and run a club. So what we can see here is the clear commitment of Manifesto that matters, right? And obviously, we've seen that you need to have big pockets to run a successful club. As Sir Jim Rattcliffe said in his interview, the biggest correlation of success in sports is money. City has it, PSG has it, United used to have it, but we are going to have it. And we are going to be a scary club when this happens. Thank you so much. Guys, I will close this presentation, and listen, drop a comments, drop your likes. Guys, thank you so much for coming and for sharing your thoughts. We are MUFC Realist TV. Please like and subscribe. It helps the channel to grow, or don't. But please be nice to each other on the socials as United fans, and believe, because we are going places. This is Mick Ruby. This is Phil. This is Kojo. This is Anil. Please like and subscribe to their channels as well. And please, thank you. Thank you for joining, and please tell others about this podcast. See you later. Bye for now. Bye, bye, bye. Thank you so much for stopping by and watching MUFC Realist TV. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and follow us on the socials.